Chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king of Judah. He ruled for 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah. Manasseh sinned against the Lord God, following the disgusting customs of the nations that the Lord had driven out of the land as the people of Israel advanced. He rebuilt the pagan places of worship that his father Hezekiah had destroyed. He built altars for the worship of the god Baal and made an idol pole, just as Ahab, king of Israel, had done. Manasseh also worshipped the stars and built pagan altars in the temple where, as the Lord God had said, he was to be worshipped. In the two courtyards of the temple, Manasseh built altars for the worship of the stars. He burned his son in sacrifice. He practiced divinations and sorceries and consulted diviners and mediums. He sinned greatly against the Lord God and made him angry. Manasseh placed an image of the idol pole in the temple, a place about which the Lord had said the following to David and to his son Solomon. In all the territory of the 12 tribes of Israel, I have chosen this temple, here in Jerusalem, to be the place where I will be worshipped forever. And if the people of Israel obey all my commandments and do everything that the law my servant Moses gave them commands, then I will not let them be expelled from the land I gave to their ancestors. But the people of Judah did not obey God, and Manasseh led them to commit sins even worse than those committed by the nations that the Lord God had destroyed as his people advanced. Through his servants, the prophets, the Lord God said, "King Manasseh of Judah has done these disgusting things, far worse things than those the Amorites did, and with his idols. He has led the people of Judah into sin. Therefore the first, the Lord, the God of Israel, will bring upon Jerusalem and Judah such a disaster that everyone who hears about it will be astonished. I will punish Jerusalem as I did the city of Samaria, and as I did King Ahab of Israel and his descendants. I will wipe Jerusalem clean of its people, as clean as a dish that has been scrubbed and turned upside down. I will abandon those who have not died, and will hand them over to their enemies, who will capture them and plunder everything in their land. I will do this to my people because they have done wrong, things that do not please me, and have made me angry from the time their ancestors left Egypt until today." Manasseh killed so many innocent people that the streets of Jerusalem were flooded with blood. In addition, he committed the sin of leading the people of Judah to worship idols. Doing what is wrong, what does not please the Lord God. All the other things that Manasseh did, and also the sins he committed. All this is written in the history of the kings of Judah. Manasseh died and was buried in the garden of the palace. The garden of Uzzah, and his son Amon became king in his place. Amon was 22 years old when he became king of Judah. He ruled for 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Meshullemeth, daughter of Haruz, from the city of Jotbah. Like his father Manasseh, men did what was wrong and did not please the Lord God. He imitated the actions of his father and worshipped and served the idols his father had worshipped. Thus, Amon abandoned the Lord, the God of his ancestors, and was disobedient to him. The officials of Amon made a revolt against him and killed him in the palace. But the people of Judah killed all those who had taken part in the revolt against Amon and placed his son Josiah as king. All the other things that Amon did are written in the history of the kings of Judah. Amon was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and his son Josiah became king in his place. Chapter 22. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king of Judah. He ruled 31 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jedidah, and she was the daughter of Adiah from the city of Boscath. Josiah did what pleases the Lord God. He followed the example of his ancestor King David and did not turn aside either to one side or to the other. In the 18th year of his reign, Josiah ordered Shaphan the scribe, son of Azaliah and grandson of Meshullam, to go to the temple. Josiah gave the following order: "Go speak with Hilkiah, the high priest, and tell him to count the money that the priests who take care of the entrance of the temple have received from the people. He is to hand this money over to the men who are in charge of the repairs of the temple. They must pay the carpenters, the builders, and the masons, and buy the wood and the stones for the repairs. The men who are in charge of the repairs are honest in everything, and therefore it is not necessary to require them to give account of this money." Shaphan delivered the king's order to Hilkiah, and he told him that he had found the book of the law in the temple. Hilkiah gave him the book and he read it. Then Shaphan returned and told the king the following: "Your servants took the money that was in the temple and gave it to those in charge of the repairs. I have here with me a book that Hilkiah gave me." And he read the book aloud to the king. When he heard what the book of the law said, the king tore his clothes as a sign of sadness. Then he gave to Hilkiah the priest, and to Ahikam son of Shaphan, and to Achbor son of Micaiah, and to Shaphan the scribe, and to Isaiah the servant of the king, the following order: Go consult the Lord God for me, and for all the people of Judah, about the teachings of this book. God is angry with us, because our ancestors did not do what this book commands. Hilkiah, Ahikam, Achbor, Shaphan, and Isaiah went to speak with a prophetess named Huldah, who lived in the new quarter of Jerusalem. Her husband, whose name was Shallum, son of Tikvah and grandson of Haraz, was in charge of the wardrobe of the temple. They told Huldah what had happened, and she told them to return and give the king the following message: I, the Lord, the God of Israel, will punish the city of Jerusalem and all its people, as it is written in the book that the king read. They have abandoned me and have offered sacrifices to other gods. And in this way they have made me angry because of all the things they have done. My anger has been kindled against Jerusalem, and it will not be extinguished. I, the Lord, the God of Israel, say this about the king: You heard what is written in the book, and repented and humbled yourself before me, tearing your clothes and weeping when you heard how I threatened to punish the city of Jerusalem and its people. I will make Jerusalem into a horrible place to see, and the name of this city will be used as a curse. But I heard your prayer, and therefore only after your death will I punish Jerusalem. I will let you die in peace. Then the men took this answer back to the king. Chapter 23 King Josiah ordered that all the authorities of Judah and of Jerusalem gather with him, and they all went together to the temple, accompanied by the priests, the prophets, and all the rest of the people, both the most important and the most humble. Then the king read before them the whole book of the covenant that had been found in the temple. He stood by the royal column, standing, and made with the Lord God a covenant by which they would obey him and keep his laws and commandments, with all the heart and with all the soul, and also fulfill everything that the covenant commanded to do, as it was written in the book. And all the people promised to fulfill the covenant. Then Josiah ordered Hilkiah the high priest, the assistant priests, and the guards who were on duty at the entrance of the temple, to take out of the temple all the objects used in the worship of Baal, of the idol pole, and of the stars. The king burned all these objects outside the city, near the valley of Kidron, and ordered that the ashes be carried to Bethel. He removed from service the pagan priests whom the kings of Judah had appointed to offer sacrifices on the altars dedicated to idols in the cities of Judah and in the places near Jerusalem. He also removed all the priests who offered sacrifices to Baal, to the sun, to the moon, to the planets, and to the stars. He removed from the temple the idol pole and took it outside the city, to the valley of Kidron. There he burned it and made it into ash, which he scattered in the public cemetery. He destroyed the rooms of the temple where the prostitutes stayed. It was in this place that the women wove the garments used in the worship of the idol pole. King Josiah brought to Jerusalem the priests who were in the cities of Judah and throughout the land, from Geba to Beersheba. He defiled the altars where these priests had offered sacrifices. The king also tore down the altars dedicated to the demons of the desert. These altars were near the gate built by Joshua, the governor of the city. The gate was to the left of those entering the city. These priests were forbidden to offer sacrifices in the temple of the Lord God, but they could eat the unleavened bread together with the other priests. King Josiah also defiled Topheth, the pagan place of worship that was in the valley of Hinnom, so that no one would burn his son or daughter as a sacrifice to the god Molech. He also removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the worship of the sun and burned the chariots used in this worship. These chariots were kept in the courtyard of the temple, near the gate and near the room of Nathan-Melech, a high official. King Josiah tore down the altars that the kings of Judah had built on the roof of the palace above the room of King Ahaz, and also destroyed the altars built by King Manasseh in the two courtyards of the temple. He broke them into pieces and threw them into the valley of Kidron. Josiah also defiled the altars that King Solomon had built east of Jerusalem to the south of the Mount of Olives, for the worship of Ashtoreth, the disgusting goddess of the Sidonians, for the worship of Chemosh, the disgusting god of the Moabites, and for the worship of Molech, the disgusting god of the Ammonites. King Josiah broke into pieces the columns of Baal, tore down the idol poles, covered with human bones the place where they had been. Josiah also tore down the place of worship that was in Bethel and that had been built by King Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made the people of Israel sin. Josiah tore down the altar, broke its stones into pieces, and crushed them until they turned to dust. He also burned the idol pole. Then Josiah looked around and saw some tombs there on the hill. He ordered that the bones be taken from them and burned on the altar. In this way he defiled the altar, doing what the prophet had said would happen. This was long ago when King Jeroboam was near the altar during a feast. King Josiah looked around and saw the tomb of the prophet who had made that prophecy. Then he asked, "What tomb is this?" The people of Bethel replied, "It is the tomb of the prophet who came from Judah and prophesied the things that the king has just done to this altar. Leave the tomb as it is. Do not touch his bones." And so the bones of that prophet remained with the bones of the prophet who had come from Samaria. In all the cities of Israel, Josiah tore down all the pagan places of worship that had been built by the kings of Israel and that had provoked the anger of the Lord. With all these altars he did what he had done in Bethel. And he also killed all the pagan priests on the altars where they had offered sacrifices. And he burned human bones on all the altars. Afterward he returned to Jerusalem. King Josiah ordered that all the people celebrate the feast of Passover in honor of the Lord their God, as it was written in the book of the covenant. Since the time when the judges ruled the land, there had never been a Passover feast like this by any of the kings of Israel or of Judah. It was in the 18th year of the reign of Josiah that this Passover was celebrated in Jerusalem in honor of the Lord God. In order to fulfill the laws written in the book that Hilkiah the high priest had found in the temple king, Josiah removed from Jerusalem and from the rest of Judah all the mediums and diviners and all the household, gods, the idols, and all the other objects of pagan worship. There had never been before a king like him who served the Lord God with all his heart, mind, and strength, obeying all the law of Moses. And afterward, there was never another king like him. But the terrible anger of the Lord had been provoked against Judah because of the things that King Manasseh had done, and this anger had not yet subsided. The Lord said, "I will do with Judah the same as I did with Israel. I will drive out of my presence the people of Judah and will reject Jerusalem, the city that I chose, and the temple, the place where I said I would be worshipped." All the other things that King Josiah did are written in the history of the kings of Judah. During the reign of Josiah, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, led his army to the Euphrates to help the king of Assyria. King Josiah went out to fight against King Necho of Egypt and was killed in battle. His officials placed his body in a war chariot and brought it back to Jerusalem, where his people buried him. The people of Judah chose Jehoaz, son of Josiah, and anointed him as king in place of his father. Jehoaz was 23 years old when he became king of Judah. He ruled 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamutal, and she was the daughter of Jeremiah from the city of Libnah. Following the example of his ancestors, Jehoaz did wrong things that do not please the Lord God. His reign ended when King Necho ordered him to be imprisoned in Riblah, in the land of Hamath, and forced the people of Judah to give 3,400 kilos of silver and 34 kilos of gold. Pharaoh Necho placed Eliam, son of Josiah, as king of Judah in place of Josiah his father, and changed his name to Jehoiachim. Jehoaz was taken by King Necho to Egypt and died there. King Jehoiakim imposed on the people a tax according to their possessions. In order to gather the silver and the gold necessary to pay what the king of Egypt had demanded, Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king of Judah. He ruled 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zabidah, and she was the daughter of Pedaiah, from the city of Ramah. Following the example of his ancestors, Jehoiachim did wrong things that do not please the Lord God.